Second?
Christian said,
Yes, please, yeah.
turn your mirror. Christian on. Hey, Christian on. Yes. Let's go to lane number 35.
Thank you.
Morning. Nice bike.
Thank you.
Doar să vă las cheia.
Mulțumesc.
Mulțumesc frumos. O zi.
gamla.
Đây là nhà trốn nè.
Lofoten or Nordkapp, I don't know where they've been, and they go to Oslo and they put their bikes on a trailer and an airplane home.
Very good, yeah. No.
Yeah, we're going to Nordkapp, I guess.
Say again?
You are going to Nordkapp or Lofoten?
I'm going to Lofoten and Nordkapp.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody goes there, you know.
Of course. You drive safe. It's a nice trip, and then you come. I presume you go to Bodø and take the ferry over to Lofoten.
To Moskenes.
Moskenes, yes.
Moskenes.
A tip: if you can, take the ferry at midnight, 11 or 12 o'clock. Then you can sleep across the fjord.
How many hours is that?
3 or 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours, yeah.
And I think it's a bit cheaper in the night.
Okay.
I think so.
That's an interesting idea.
And then you can sleep. You don't need to be awake to see water.
Yeah, I see.
And then you.
I prefer a good night's sleep, like.
Yes, and take your time in Lofoten. It's so beautiful. And stop.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Jesus, yeah.
It's also a naval base. Was
Okay.
interesting.
Anyways, I better get going.
Yes.
The
Go ride Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Well, you have to have a nice journey and drive safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Don't take any chances. There are
No chances. No.
There are Norwegians there.
Safe.
You know?
See you. Bye. I see. Interesting. Okay.
We were going to Nordkapp, I guess.
Say again?
You are going to Nordkapp or Lofoten?
I'm going to Lofoten and Nordkapp.